Welcome to SF Garnish Music Production. My name is Justin Anchetta, and I'm here doing a demonstration with prepping a track for a session with Oz Fritz. Oz Fritz is a Grammy Award-winning producer, mixing and mastering producer up here in the Sierra Foothills, and I've always wanted him to help me with this track, Boom Carrier. And it's a pretty old track. It's a track that really, I'm realizing I organized back in the day pretty chaotically. So what I really want to do is make sure that when the session starts with Oz, that we're not cleaning up tracks. Everything's named and labeled and grouped in a really good way. So, and if you just kind of learn your own kind of color coding and labeling method and stick to it, that's great. I have one that might work for you. Every grouped track I put in capitals so I know that it's a group and it will expand out. So these are all the bass tracks. We got Jared May on bass on this track. I think he tracked this in 2012. And this is a track that hasn't been released yet. We're excited to put this out here in the near future. We have Josh Mellinger on tabla, Amelia on harp, Jason McGuire on guitar. Let's see, Manos on the ney flute, Maren Medke on vocals, myself, Justin Anchetta. The list goes on with many artists on this, including Cello Joe. So let's just go back to the beginning here, and there's a few different ways. We want to make sure that when we're cruising down through here, it doesn't get super big. So all of my vocal tracks of Maren I put here all together. And we also want to clean it up. If you have extra area like this, just being able to get rid of that. And actually, this is all just get rid of. And then have your fade in and fade out work accordingly. Looks like some of these actually are kind of cut off. So to make sure that nothing's cut off, so that we're really hearing the full phrasing that the artist, or the performer, was trying to go for. And then from there, we can edit it. So you can cut out dead space like this. You can also put a gate on it, but I think that cutting it out seems to be a cleaner way because you can definitely see where the track and the volumes go up if it's just not there at all. You can also cut areas out and press 0 if you're in Ableton Live, and it will deactivate the track. So press 0 again, and it activates it. So once again, this is all an area that could just be cut and deactivated. If you want to do a different color, maybe a lighter color might be easier to see. There you go. Got this dark color is a little bit difficult to see, so maybe we'll keep this light. So making sure our group tracks are brought together, I created flute all. It's all capitalized here, and all of Manos's flutes are in here. Noticing there's a lot of dead space. Let's go ahead and take that dead space out. The flute does tail off, so maybe just do a nice fade there. This is what an engineer would do to prep for someone to come in, such as Oz Fritz, who has a masterful ear. And what I really want to get out of the session with Oz is him listening with his really good speakers to the mix and giving feedback on what he would do with the highs and lows and all the frequencies in between. Oz is known for having great mixes with bass, kick, drums, and vocals up front. And the spatial dynamics, I consider it like a three-dimensional audio space, X, Y, and Z coordinates that Oz does a great job with. And if you are wanting to learn more about this from Oz, from SF Garnish Music Productions, you can join us on Thursday for a live stream that we're doing from 1 to 3 p.m. on Thursday with this track, and Oz will be going through the details of it. So please join us on Thursday. Like I said, this will be all cleaned up, and this is how tedious it is to kind of get in here and make sure that the fades are good and there's no space of things happening. See that click right there? It's very small, but might as well just clean that up and make it not there so that other instruments or other sounds that are intentional can pop through. Sometimes you purposely put artifacts in, but we're trying to clean this up. So this looks like this fade here can be much better. This is the ending bass fade. A lot of edits in here. Looks like this was edited quite a bit. A whole note was changed every time there back in the day. Like I said, this is a track that I haven't touched for about 5 years, and we will be finalizing this in the near future. So once again, if you want to learn from Oz Fritz, and you might even be able to ask a question here or there in the Q&A if you want to join our Zoom call, please message us if you want to actually join the Zoom call. Otherwise, you can watch from our Twitch, YouTube, website, Facebook page, all of the above. So thanks again for checking this out. And like I said before, color coding really helps out. I do, capital on the first, right, of each track. That's what I do now, 5 years later. But if it's all capitalized, that is a group track. And it looks like this tabla is out on its own. I would probably put the drums together in a group track, Command G, and group that track together. And I would rename that drums all. If I see drums down below, I would bring them into the drums all track. So eventually, when you really get through all this, looks like there's a guitar on its own here. I'd probably want to put all the guitar together. So yeah, let's organize our track here. Bringing up our guitar. 2 guitars. And group them. Command G. Rename. GTR all. So the capitalized and the word all afterward really signals that I can expand this out. Looks like the harp here is on its own. Drum and hi-hat could go up to the drums. So when something is not expanded out, when you drop it in, it'll just go right below it. Or it might even just jump right into it. Wow, it did that for me. It knew that I was trying to get it in there. So if it does jump in right below, you can always just expand it and then pull it up into that group. Here's another guitar and shaker. So like I said, this should be cleaned up to where everything is organized in just like maybe 5 groups, I would say. And then we could start doing group effects as well. So see how that didn't pop in right away? This guitar too, I can then pull down into it. Now also, oh yeah, there is a guitar too here. Some tracks they already had deactivated because I've already found out that I didn't want to use them. So I have unused tracks down here that I've deactivated. It's not using any CPU. And I'm just going to keep that down there just in case we want to pull from some MIDI or some track that was done before. When a track starts, you really want to fade it in as easy as possible or fade out so there's no click involved. So this is just that prep of getting that done. And also, if there's a bunch of dead space, you can just delete that time just like that. Maybe June's here. All right, so it looks like the guitar's there. There's a few vocal tracks that are left out on its own. Let's see here. Vocal JA all. Okay, so I'm going to want to pull in all of vocal JA and bring it up here into that group track. So there we go. Shaker can also go into the drum track. I'm just dragging that right up to the top. Awesome. So it looks like when the black area is highlighted around a group, even if it's not expanded, it will go inside that track. So I didn't use this track, so I'll put that into the unused. And one way to, like I said before, to make sure that your CPU is using the least amount and so you can have a really good playback is zero out tracks that aren't being used. Zero out those tracks, minimize them, make sure they're muted. So all of the above, it's double muted there. So nothing from the unused tracks will engage the CPU of the computer, and it should make things a little bit cleaner. So there you are. We have a track that is very CPU intensive, has a lot of tracks here. If I expand all of these out, this should pop up here. Let's just go for it. This is how big this track is, cruising all the way down through here. That's how much has been laid out. This will be all cleaned up by Thursday's session so that we're just dealing with hopefully listening to the tracks as best we can. All right. So there you have it. Once again, join us on Thursday from 1 to 3 p.m. for mixing this track, and you can learn more about mixing from the Master Oz Fritz as we mix Boon Cartier. And this will be released in the near future. So you can also grab it on iTunes and Spotify once that all comes about. Hope you enjoy this session here, sf.garnishmusicproduction.com. And we will be sharing a lot of tricks on sound design, mixing and mastering in Pro Tools, Logic Pro, and Ableton Live 10 Suite, which is what you're looking at right here. So please join us soon. The 2 sessions that I know we're going to be going live for, once again, is Wednesday, 12 to 1 with Cello Joe, working on a collaborative track through Zoom. And then Thursday, Boon Cartier with Oz Fritz from 1 to 3 p.m. Have a great rest of your day, and we look forward to joining you soon. Cheers.